So we thank you. These are all parents, but I guess we have a student, fifth grade student, West Genesee here. Is she still here? She is still here. Does she want to come up also? I think you get the MVP.
She want to go first?
She can go first if she'd like. Would you like to say a few things? Come on up. Some great patience to be here the whole evening. So congratulations if you do that.
Practice sitting still for a long time.
Hello, assembly members. I'm Amy Deagle, fifth grader from the West Genesee School District, and I'm protesting the Common Core for New York schools because when it comes to this New York State test, I get anxiety attacks, and I also love my teachers so much. When I get a problem wrong on the test, I feel like I fail my teachers, and I don't want my teachers to fail because of me. Another reason why I'm protesting Another reason why I'm protesting is that my education is being given away to some strangers in a big company, along with my personal information. It's like having Joe Schmo off the street, and I've been taught stranger danger. I'm not for sale. Because there are too many tests, like a computer test, the bubble test. The one that I absolutely hate the most, 3-day state test. So much time is being spent on preparing for these tests that there's no time for creativity, exploring, and having fun. Please remember, we are just kids, not super genius robots.
Great work. Thank you very much for coming today. You should be very proud. Your parents should be very proud of you, too. Thank you. So just like we've done in all the other panels, just introduce who you are, where your sons or daughters go to school, and obviously whatever relevant information you want to give us.
It's a tough act to follow. My name is Gregory McCurdy. I'm a taxpayer in the Baldwinsville School District. I'm also a teacher in the Westville School District. I promised my wife I would go off script, but I don't want to be too long-winded. You sat here for quite some time listening to scripted testimony. Imagine what our children feel like in schools, listening to scripted modules. The commissioner says that they're not scripts, that local districts are making that decision. But if they didn't want them to be a script, why are they scripted? They are written out to be read verbatim. And I think there's a disconnect between the Commissioner of Education, the Board of Regents, and the families and students across New York State. Because the truth is, students have undergone an enormous change in the last few years. You've heard about the testing, you've heard about the modules. My son came home a few weeks ago, and I should say that I think Baldwinsville is doing a great job at approaching a measured approach to the state. They use these modules for reference only, and I think they provide them in rich education for my son in the second grade. But he came home a couple of weeks ago, and we asked him, how was library today? He said, we could go to the library. They were doing some testing. The bigger kids were doing some testing. And then at the end of last year, at the end of first grade, we asked him how phys ed was going, and he said, oh, we had testing this week. Schools are being forced to flip-flop their staffs, hire substitutes. They actually call these substitute teams SWAT teams. They are hiring substitutes to come in and administer tests. They're having flip-flop staffs from building to building, primarily because of the regulations surrounding the ER. Teachers are not allowed to give and score their own assessments. Can you imagine if you were not allowed to vote on your own bill that you had sponsored on the floor of the assembly? Because that would be considered a conflict of interest. If you lifted a common sense change to the regulations coming out of the state, if you lifted the requirement that teachers could not score their own assessments, it would open a breadth of authentic performance assessments in our schools that we are not seeing currently. Currently, we're seeing teachers that are being forced to say, welcome to phys ed class, grab a pencil. Welcome to my music class. Now we're going to take a pre-assessment. And our children are going through this, not just in the spring, throughout the year. We're looking for a common sense approach to the Common Core. The commissioner has said that we're trying to defend the status quo, that we're trying to support lower standards. No one is in support of lower standards. No one is in support of status quo. We want improvement across the state. My 3 recommendations would be for greater transparency at the state education department, greater transparency of the commissioner. He's the worst kind of politician. He can stand up and take firm stances and outright lie to the people of New York State. But there's no accountability with his constituents. You have to go home to Main Street and you have to talk to us, the voters. And for that, we respect you. Because we see you on Main Street, we see you in the summertime festivals, we see you in forums like this. You're real people. The commissioner is not a real person to people of New York State. We want greater transparency. We want greater accountability at the state education department. We ask that there be greater oversight at the state ed department. If there's one other division of New York State, the Department of Labor, Agriculture and Markets, the Department of State, one other division that has showed the gross mismanagement of the state education department has shown, there would be outrage at the State House and in the schoolhouses across New York State. And that's the outrage that we're expressing. Greater transparency, greater accountability, and lastly, greater integrity, greater authenticity in our schools. We're seeing schools across the state, because of the money that they're forced to spend on PPR, forced to spend on the rollout of Common Core modules, they are being forced to cut music programs, art programs. It may seem like a small cut to delay the orchestra until the 4th grade. Maybe we cut that high school elective for 5 years. But the aggregate across the state is one in which we are losing thousands of opportunities for our students, thousands of opportunities for our children. Now, if you're really in support of higher standards in New York, shouldn't we be increasing arts education? Shouldn't we be increasing opportunities for our kids? If we're in favor of the greater standards that progressive education models provide, like Montessori School and Waldorf schools, shouldn't we be making our elementary schools across the state look more like those schools? So we ask for greater transparency, greater accountability, and greater integrity, both in the state education department and in our schools across the state. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to say that you gentlemen are a breath of fresh air. And I say that, and I want you to know my name is Jim Chase. I'm here as a parent of 6 children. My wife and I have 6 children, 7 grandchildren, and more coming. I am from north of Utica. As a matter of fact, you can visit me tonight. I'm sure I told you the next the last of these meetings I went to was in Baldwinsville. There were over 1,200 individuals who were there, and the crowd basically got harangued and scolded by the individuals. And just sitting here tonight listening, and I've listened to many of these in our area to the Commissioner Cancer. The rest of his, I understand there are more coming, but they are going to be more scripted. I have some points I want to speak, and I will try to get through. I'm going to start with the repairing and enhancing of public education. I am a parent, as I said, I'm a grandparent and taxpayer, but I am also a teacher. And I'm still teaching, which is about 40 years. So tell you, the first document such as this we saw, and I'm glad someone alluded to it beforehand, was written in April of 1953. And you know, there's some interesting correlations. I don't know whether any of you gentlemen that would compare this to the Common Core standards. Let me take the word rigor. I never knew that even existed until I heard the Common Core, because this document written 30 years ago, the year, it's rigorous. Okay, so change words around a little bit, but the game is still the same. Instead of Common Core standards, we have the new basics. This is 30 years ago, 1983. And then we go on for, and I did kill 2 or 3 more trees. I just printed out the recommendations of the Nation at Risk. And I gotta tell you, it's like reading the Christian version of the Bible and then comparing it to an English version of the Torah. It's amazing how some of these documents sound very similar. You know, and instead of coming up with creative ideas, what we do is, unfortunately, 30 years ago, it looks like we've taken out of the 30-year-old playbook. We start looking for some place to place blame. I want to talk about my children for just a minute, because as I said, the reason why I'm here is parents. But please keep in mind as I do this, the parents are our first teachers. They are the first educators that any of our children ever see. And they formulate what their children are going to do when they get to school. That's why, at least for my children, when they got on the bus and they headed off, and incidentally, just for the record, every one of my children, my grandchildren, my wife, myself, my parents were all successful individuals educated in New York State public education. And we're talking decades here. All right? And one of the most important things to remember is, you know, since this document came out even before, because I was teaching way before this document, I don't believe that any teachers, just like any parents, just sat there on the sidelines and did nothing. There was a constant understanding that you had to progress. All right? We had to achieve more. You had to do that. All right? Now, one of my children, one of their wives, or their husbands, one of my grandchildren, to the best of my knowledge, not my wife, not even me, yet. I don't see any of them after this public education sitting in any corner drooling. All right, so we must have done something right, because each one of you gentlemen up there, as well as most, if not all of the people, we were educated in this same system. But now all of a sudden, after 30 years, we created another crisis. All right, I'm here to tell you who's going. And you gentlemen are a breath of fresh air, because for the first time in all these things that I see some people who are listening. Right? And if I had the opportunity, I would go further. Right? Because what I'm looking for are statesmen. I'm looking for public service. And I believe that. Right, move a little bit further if I may. I'm proud to be a product of the New York State system. Right, I received my degrees, both graduate and undergraduate, at the SUNY system, so I'm old. But the times are tough. Right? That's not the issue here in New York State at all. Nation. The issue is leadership. right? And the issue is, and the Japanese learned this a long time ago, the issue is talking to the people at the bottom. Talking to the people at the bottom, talking to the parents, talking to the teachers. Talk to all of them, right? And see where you need to go, right? And then make the decisions, right? Don't make the decisions up there in the ivory tower, right? And then lay them out as dictates. When people start balking, right? Call them special interests, call them malcontents, call them what you want to call them, right? But statistics will bear us out here in New York State. And in Whitesboro, one of the interesting things, the gentleman walked up to the microphone there with a laptop, and he pulled up all the sites, right, that you could pull up. And every single one of them in New York State is either at the top or right next to it. And it's not just in the nation, it's in the world. And another thing that we have to remember, too, is this is one of a small, decreasing handful of countries that allow every single child to go as far as possible. Right? And that's what I want for my children. That's what I want for my grandchildren. And quite frankly, as a teacher, every single one of those kids in my classroom are my kids. Because their parents entrusted me to them. And as long as I'm going to teach, ask me that question. Right? That's what I'm going to feel about it. And I'm going to do what needs to be done. Common Core, no Common Core. Nation at risk, no nation at risk. So what do we have to do? My suggestions. Simple. Number one, at the very least, we need to put this business about testing. If not moratorium, I suggest you suspension. All right? Number two, we have to make sure that the people that are in charge of our educational system know what our educational system is all about. And so far, from what I've seen in 40 years, it's been a hard place for people at the top take any time to take a look at what's going on with the people at the bottom. We need competent leadership at the top of our educational system. It's not to say that Mr. King is now well educated. He is. Very intelligent man, I believe. What are the chances of Bill Gates putting him in charge of Microsoft? Zero. Right? Because he hasn't got the skills. But yet this state takes an individual that's never taught in public school, never been an administrator in public school, openly admits that he won't put his children in public school, but wants to make all the decisions. That's wrong. That's plain wrong. Actually, the teachers as professionals. They are professionals. We just didn't walk off the street and say, hey, we want to teach you something that should be. We spent years, tens of thousands of dollars, some hundreds of thousands. Right? And the parents, as a parent, I worked my house 2 or 3 times a year like this. I'm sure there's people in this room that have done the same thing. So we need competent leadership. We don't need protesting. We need to trust the people that are doing it. Right? We need to trust the professionals. The way it stands right now, and I'm sure you people are aware, but again, for the record, teachers can't make their own tests. Teachers can't even see the test, they can't grade it. Right? But yet they're held responsible. How would any of the people in the state legislature, or any of our elected officials, quite frankly, our own governor, and he was held virtually responsible for some of the things he's done, we write him out of the state on this. Right? John King probably would drop. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Black Johnson, and I live in Constantia, and I want to thank you for letting us be heard. I have a daughter who just turned 11 and 13. Who just started 6th grade, in middle school and dealing with trying to get through middle school. And I have a son who is 7 in 2nd grade in the Central Square School District, which has rigorous modules. There is so much wrong with Common Core. I've been up till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning most nights, learning all I can about this. There's the race to the top, there's the data mining, the parents' rights that are being taken, the federal government who's trying to control our schools, standardized testing, Pearson and other big businesses making profits from our kids. They're not trusting our teachers to know what is best for our kids, which I myself trust every single one of my daughters and sons' teachers to know what they need, not some tests. My daughter doesn't test well. She can get 90s, high 90s, but she'll get 70s or 60s in her testing. Since preschool, my daughter has been wanting to be a teacher. She no longer has that dream. She used to love school, especially math. And that's impossible for her. I mean, math is now her lowest score this year. She hates Common Core so much that she wouldn't even sign up for Girl Scouts because we found out that they are using their badges aligned with Common Core. That's how much she hates Common Core. Last year, I was trying to learn as much as I can and started hearing about Common Core, so I started learning what I could. And I wanted my daughter to refuse the ELA in math class. She wouldn't refuse the ELA because her teacher told her it would hurt her and her school, so she took the test and she got it home. She is now in AIS. And here we are. She asked if she could refuse in math because she didn't know anything in the ELA. And I told her that she could. And she did. And she sat there scholarship for hours, just sitting there doing nothing because our district won't let them do anything. We didn't even find out that she was an AIS until she went to school the first day and she came home saying, "Mom, why didn't you tell me I was an AIS?" Because I didn't know. And I asked, it was because the state didn't even have the testing results to the teachers yet. I'm thankful that she did not take the math test because I don't know where she would be right now. My kids mean everything to me. And other kids mean just as much to me. And these kids failed the ELA and the math test because they didn't know the curriculum whatsoever. They were not taught the curriculum last year. The teachers didn't know what the curriculum was on the test. They just tried to do what they could. So these kids took their tests, and they weren't even close to knowing the curriculum. And there are so many kids right now in AIS that the teachers said even honor kids are in AIS this year. She's been sick 10 days so far this year, where she's never even been close to being sick that many times in the whole year. And I looked up the word rigorous, just for the heck of it. And it says harshness and hardship. I don't believe that should even be in our schools whatsoever. These kids don't need that. They need someone who can show them the way to a good life. Not tear them down is what they're doing. She's been in karate since first grade. And she, for a month, was deciding if she should keep doing karate. She was going for a black belt, 10 years old. And she just quit 2 weeks ago. She feels she can't do karate and keep up what she did. I asked to try to get her into a study hall, because that's what her teachers, they had a conference with the teachers, and they said she would go good in the study hall. I said, well, she's in EIS. And they said, why? And she took the test, and they're like, oh, like, I didn't know that's why. I tried to get her into the study hall. Oh, no, we can't do that. The federal state says that she has to go through the program, 8 weeks of the program, and then take a test to see if she can get out. I don't understand why. Every single one of her teachers said she didn't need that program. She's doing just fine, but she had to stay in that program, and it was hurting more than helping me. Now to my son. Last year he told me he hated school, and that was in first grade. He said his teacher was mean because he was making him do work he didn't know, and I thought, typical boy, until I really got to know him more. The things he was taught this year, even the adults had trouble with. You know, I put things out there on my sites to see if someone could help us. I had like 15 different ways of doing it, tons of different answers, and none of them were even right. It takes us sometimes 3 hours to get home with them, and this is in second grade. I have a folder full of mostly math like this thick so far that he has done. When we're done with his math homework, I asked him, do you understand what he did? And he's like, no, Mom, I'm sorry, I don't. Does that make me stupid? My kids feel stupid. And stupid is a bad word in our house. We never say it. And that's all I've been hearing so far all this year. He had to do this one assignment where he had to measure things. He measured a pencil at 5.5. He got it wrong. How do you get wrong? All you need to use whole numbers. But he's measuring a pencil. What does he have to do? Sharpen it until it's down to the whole number? I don't get it. Half the time, there's something written on it. He's either wrong or I'm writing stuff, asking, we don't know what we're doing. My kids are fucking stupid. They were very smart. My daughter, I started her off when she was 4 years old because she just was so ahead of her time. I watched my kids' spirits go and want them to learn and go to school and just watch it slip away. I see angry, frustrated kids now every day when they get home from school. My son's teacher said, well, I don't see that. And of course not. I taught him, my kids, well, I taught them to respect you and to respect their school and to do what they need to do. When they get home, what else are they going to do? They need to let it out. What are kids and kids? Where the damage is permanent. Like I said, I have a lot of other issues, which I have written down here for you. I know you need to get out and I'm hungry. So I will now do this. And I appreciate everything listening to this song. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Julie Baker. I am from the Sherman-Earlville School District. I think I get the award for traveling the farthest to come tonight. I am also a graduate of Sherman-Earlville. I graduated in 1989, went on to the University of Vermont, got my bachelor's degree, and I was a coach at Carnegie Mellon University. I coached volleyball for a long time down there. So I am familiar with academia, and I'm also familiar with coaching kids' intangibles. That's kind of what I'm going to bring to the table tonight. But right now I'm here as a parent of 2 sets of twins. My boys are in UPK and my girls are in 2nd grade. But I also represent a group from our community that we call ourselves the Sherbrooke Remote Parent Advocacy Group. We know that you have no role in the creation and implementation of these new standards, but you are a vital part to stopping it, which is our recommendation. The implementation of the new standards was certainly rushed out for no reasons other than money and political aspirations. 3-inch thick modules for a 6-week period are still being written. The lessons riddled with mistakes are too long to fit into a class period. So some of our teachers have incorporated the use of an egg timer to stay on schedule and script. In what world is this good for any kids? Our administrators have given the teachers flexibility with the use of the modules. However, our principal hopes to get through only 70% of the material this year. So how is that going to prepare my girls for 3rd grade? Some of the material is developmentally inappropriate, and it does, which has been covered earlier tonight, it assumes that my girls have gone through the whole entire Common Core curriculum since pre-K, leaving them virtually no time to catch up. So the first couple of months of school were spent in frustration and tears. The added complexity of the math all of a sudden made them forget what 2 + 2 meant. So the test-driven curriculum already takes away from the actual teaching time. Now our school has shortened art, music, and recess by 10 minutes each. And now they're thinking about taking away recess altogether. All in favor of only 2 subjects, ELA and math. Like I said before, with my coaching background, I am a huge proponent of intangibles, something that is no longer being nurtured in the kids. And that, to me, is what has gotten me farther in life than any education that I aspired to. Now let me go on to the in bloom. Honestly, I don't really care how many DAG fields there are or what information is being uploaded. They simply do not have the right to view this information without my consent. Changing the FERPA law by executive order to allow anyone under the rules of if it's for educational purposes only is unacceptable to me. Students are not data points to be analyzed, and I don't want my kids being used this way. After having my teacher conferences today, I had all 4 of them today, mind you, I am further convinced that my kids' teachers know them the best, and therefore they are the most qualified to analyze them. They have insight that cannot and will not ever be measured by any test. Poverty is widespread in our community, where over 80% of the kids take advantage of our school-based health care, while 45% receive free or reduced lunches. Parents and students in our district will derive little to no benefit from this new education policy, where parents are unable to be home to help their kids, lack the ability in education to help their kids with their homework, afford to hire tutors, put them in test prep classes, and help them plan and pay for college. Again, this was brought up before too. A child's poverty level has been the single most constant determining factor of their success in school in the last 4 years. But none of these programs do anything to tackle that fact. Why? Because they can't. The bottom line is here is that our children have been sold out for politics and money and big business to profit from. This madness is hurting so many teachers, students, and parents on a daily basis. And we want this to go away as soon as possible so our kids can enjoy learning. So I am here to please ask you to help us stop this test-driven educational system that is built on a false narrative that was forced upon us, where our kids are being used as pawns in the $600 billion a year educational industry. I was told that I only had 3 minutes to speak, that's why my thing is so short. I would be happy to answer any questions that you have about specifically what is happening within my district. And thank you for your patience in your time this evening.
Hi, my name is Niall Davis, and I live in the Sandy Creek School District north here. I had prepared about 5 minutes to speak. I wouldn't make you sit through that. We're all exhausted, and I thought, well, this chair is uncomfortable. Let me just say that you're asking for information that you can use. The very people who are asked to sign off on the Common Core standards, the Common Core Standards Committee, 4 of them refused to sign off. 4 of them are now speaking out against the inappropriateness of the very standards that they were asked to evaluate.
Sandra Stosky, who is credited with developing one of the country's strongest set of academic standards, refused to sign off with 4 of her fellows because of what they felt was a futile effort to remedy the basic deficiencies of the Common Core's English reading standards. Dr. James Milgram, who was the only actual mathematician on the Common Core Validation Committee, testified that the math standards actually dumbed down U.S. high school standards. He has further noted that Jason Zimba, one of the 3 main authors of the Common Core mathematics standards, testified to the Massachusetts Board of Education that the math standards were only properly prepare students for a 2-year community college and not for STEM, which 2 people talked tonight about how important getting our students ready for industry was. The very people who authored the standards say that they will not prepare our students to work in industry. But we are sitting here listening to talking points from the New York State Department of Education about how this is going to prepare our children for college and a career. It is not true. It is not true at all. I ask members of the Assembly, please have Sandra Stosky come and talk to you about the implementation of the Common Core in New York State. She can give you detailed information about its failings from an expert's perspective. When I have to listen to talking points from the State Department of Education constantly, belittling us because we don't know enough about the Common Core to speak out, I get very frustrated. That's why I originally started researching all this. There are the very future of our children is at stake here. And we get to sit and listen to the experts tell us about how great this is for us, and yet the real experts behind us are saying it's not. The ones who wrote it themselves tell us it's not. I ask you also, besides looking at the standards, to look at the content that is in the modules on Engage New York for the Common Core. You heard someone else sit here tonight and say they don't have the money to rewrite that curriculum, so they're going to continue to use those modules that are on the Engage New York site, written by the state. My son does not need to spend 2.5 months learning about the United Nations doctrine. He doesn't need to learn that. It doesn't teach him English, and it certainly doesn't teach him anything about the United States Constitution or the Bill of Rights, which he lives under. He does not get his rights from the United Nations. Okay? I know everybody is calling us right-wing extremists for calling into question the political motives in the Engage New York content. But it's the same content that many of the other states are adopting. It is the same content that you read on all of the anti-Common Core sites. The modules contain the same content. If that's not a nationalized curriculum, I don't know what is. It's a nationalized curriculum, and New York State, for 30 pieces of silver, has virtually sold our educational system to private government. It's time to stand up. And I know you're the minority, but it's time to stand up, as Mr. Graff has, and call for a complete reversal of this process. Get us out of the Common Core. Get us out of the race to the top. It's not worth the money. It's costing us more money than they gave us. It's going to cost taxpayers millions of dollars in addition to what we were given. And it's bad. My child hates school now. He's being indoctrinated while he goes there. I have no other choices but to withdraw him from public school, pay additional dollars to send him to a private school, or homeschool him. I'm asking you to help us if you can. And please, what do you need from us, Mr. Graff, to help your cause in withdrawing us from the Common Core?
Exactly what you're doing tonight. It's just by coming here, making your voices heard. You're all educated because you're out there educating your neighbors, your friends, your relatives. And just keep it up because, a lot of people have pointed towards me for doing this, but the bottom line is this has been a mommy movement. This has been a parent movement. And personally, I think that the genie's out of the bottle, and once the genie's out of the bottle, you can't put it back in.
Well, thank you very much for your testimony. Do any of my colleagues have any questions? How about just anybody want closing statements? Well, thank you. Thank you very much for coming and testifying. We'll continue to work on this problem. We really do appreciate the dialogue. I know it's helped me a lot. I'm sure I can speak for my colleagues to help them a lot, too. Thank you.